Hey guys, what is up? It's Dave. Happy weekend. Happy Sunday. Let's go over the overall market review, starting with the S&P 500 cash index. You can see that we closed 0.549% away from the all-time highs. So we did make all-time highs again last week. Let's see, when was it made? It was made on Friday. So a little pullback. Down 0.3% on Friday, nothing crazy. If we look at the weekly here, it just continues to be bought up. We had a nice little breakout from this inside week here. So if you're a weekly trader, typically, or a technical analysis trader, typically people would be looking at this inside week and then go with the breakout. So maybe next week we have some continuation to the upside. We shall actually see what happens. The SPY, basically 0.43% away. I'm not going to look at this. Here's the equally weighted RSP. So equally weighted S&P 500. This takes out the weighting of the heavyweights such as Microsoft and Nvidia and Apple, and distributes the weight equally throughout. So this gives you a better view of the overall market of what it's doing. You can see it's 1.22% away from the all-time highs. It hasn't quite broken or even touched the all-time highs from November of 2024, which is, not that big of a deal. But you can see we're just kind of consolidating here, just kind of chopping. If you like levels, I would say, where's my favorites here? There we go. Sorry. We're kind of consolidating in this area here. Right there. We do undercut, but this, 182.25, 180, 190, educated guess area, is kind of in the zone. It's not really doing much, right? This could potentially be a higher low moving into next week. That's how I see it. We shall see. But anything, I would be looking for some sort, I'm randomly drawing this line. I'd be looking for some sort of higher low to begin to set up to follow into next week. Let's look at the Qs. We're only 1.03% away from the all-time highs. We're still, holding the 8 EMA, the 21 EMA, 50, everything is trending nicely. And so over the past, since August 1st, basically from the lows to the highs, we moved 5.6% or so. From the close on Friday, about 4.6%. So we're about 4.6% off those lows. For you TA people, anchored VWAP, so you can always say, hey, this area right here, which pretty is close to 2.5% off the all-time highs, is the anchor VWAP from this low. So a lot of people will be looking at this level. It's also near the 21 EMA. So if we get a pullback here, that might be an area of support to be paying attention to. We shall see. Here is the equally weighted QQQ. You can see it's not really doing as well as the equally weighted RSP, but either way, it's kind of consolidating here. It did hit all-time highs, which is different than RSP, so maybe I should retract that statement. Either way, we are about, let's see, how far off? We're 2.7% away from the all-time highs. It's holding the 50 EMA here. The 8 and 21, they're kind of chopping around indecision. This could potentially, if this is a quote-unquote double bottom, I wouldn't necessarily say that. It's got to clear this area first, but we do have a nice double retest, a push off here, and this could be flagging. And so this could be a push to a flag to the short-term MAs and a push higher, maybe to go retest these. We shall see what happens. Let's look at the Dow. That set all-time highs of 452.05 on Friday, I believe. Am I right on that? Hang on. Yeah, that's 452.05. 452.05. Yup. All-time highs on Fridays. So that's pretty cool. This continues to be strong overall market-wise. However, we closed 0.56% off of all-time highs. You can see though, some people will say this is a rounding bottom. You could say it broke out. I wouldn't necessarily say it closed above. I would watch this area here to see what happens around this area, see if it retests and continues to trend on up. IWM, the Russell 2000 ETF. So you can see we had a nice little pop. Around here, you'll have pullback buyers looking to potentially participate. You can see that this here is a prior area of supply. It broke here and then became resistance, trended on down. So now it's at that area. If you're trading this, you should be probably looking at this area for potential supply, even though everybody can see it. That's part of the reason why it just might work. So similar to, what was it? Was it the Qs? I think it was the equally weighted Qs here. Little pop and flagging. So similar to that, we have a little pop. We do have a potential flag going to the 8 EMA here. Shorter term MAs might start trending up here again instead of kind of chopping around, being in indecision mode. 50, so we have a quote unquote golden cross here. 50 crosses the 200. A lot of people care about that. Not necessarily me. Here's a death cross. 50 crosses the 200 just to the downside. So we'll see if this wants to start curling up. Small cap 2000 index, it looks basically the same thing, right? All right, let's go through the individual sectors. XLB, so this is materials. From TA standpoint, this is obviously, it hit, I'm not going to call it a double top, but it did find supply at a prior level just before. So we'd be watching that. It did technically set a higher low versus this low here versus that low there. Not sure, but it's 8% off the all-time highs. We'll see if this wants to continue on up. If you want a trend line, I can draw one for you. So as long as this pulls back and respects that trend line, it can even dip under. Lines are lines. It's not that big of a deal. But really just look for higher highs and higher lows. As of right now, this is creating a lower high, but a higher low relative to here. So I think we need some resolution in that direction. All-time highs created in communications sector, pulled off or 0.66 away, 0.66% away. We did have a little breakout here. What we could do is we can wait to see if this wants to pull out. You can see this is the breakout area here. So we can wait and see if it wants to pull back to that breakout area for a little retest. That would also have confluence with the 8 EMA. So I would be curious. So communications are a potential interest this week. So again, with the communications, the top 3 in XLC are, I know Google's, where is it at? There it is. Netflix, Meta, and Google. Those are the top 3. So maybe those should be on your watch. They're already on mine going into next week anyways. All right, XLE, energy. It's not really doing much here. This might come into play. You can see that I have a trend line drawn here. It did break it. It did retest it. So maybe it starts going down. This is just due to, this has headline risks to do. So be aware. Financials. You can see that this area is a level of supply that is being challenging for it to break. So we'll see what goes on there. I'm not interested in financials myself. Let's look at industrials, kind of pulled off of the all-time highs, 3% away. Maybe we're going to the 50 EMA potentially here. We are now under the short-term MAs, so my rules tell me that I am not going long industrials or industrial if this was an individual stock. Either way, I don't trade these very much. I'm just looking at them. Maybe it's going for a little retest here. Tech got crushed, and then, made all time. Now I wouldn't say crushed. I might be exaggerating a little bit. From the highs to the low, it made 4.6% move in about 2 days to the downside. So just fast, just volatile, which there's nothing wrong with that as long as you got plans. But ever since then, we can see that from the low to the high, it has again moved 5.6%, and to the close 3.85%. This is about okay. Anchor VWAP people, you guys can do that, and this is a level of interest. This let's just call it 264 level. I'm pretty darn close to the 2.5% pullback as well. So just under the 8. The 21 EMA is coming up close. So XLK, I do think, is on watch, which is good for me because I trade a lot of tech stocks personally. So I will be doing a video on the top 10 in the QQQs. You can look forward to that coming up. Follow me on X as well. I do homework every night and share my prep. XLP, this is, I don't know how you would trade this. I'm not even gonna waste my time on that. Real estate, this is just chopping around as well. Utilities, let's see. Utilities look interestingly strong. Broke out. We're getting a little pullback to the 21 EMA here. Tagged it. We'll see what actually happens, but I think this needs some resolution to this side. Right there. XLV Healthcare. So I did note that this little bounce here was a potential, as this is obvious potentially. This has been support in the past. It undercut it and then had a pretty rapid move back to the upside. And so honestly though, what do you do with this? My answer is nothing. I don't do anything with this. This is in range, all right? It's in a range. And so until it breaks this range, you even have a declining 200 MA here. You have a downtrend line here. This still needs time to resolve to do something, but long term, it looks constructive, in my opinion. XLY consumers. This is trending nicely. It's holding the MAs. It's going on up. It's having a little pullback on Friday. Nothing big, no big deal. This looks nice. From the lows of August 1st, it has made from the high a 7.41% move. Close is 6.6%. So, I mean, a little healthy pullback would not be the end of the world. It is 4.68% away from the highs. And we're not going to look at that. Bitcoin had a nice little push on Wednesday. Got smacked down on Thursday, and it's been, it's the weekend. Nothing's happening here. And well, that doesn't always ring true for Bitcoin, but either way, this is just consolidating here, right? And honestly, what I would look for is if we go on a 65-minute time frame, this area here, this is an area of short-term interest, and I would be looking for people to initiate shorts here on a break of this, even more so this level here. If it breaks that low here of $116,856, I don't know, where could we go? Maybe 1586, which is where, if you look at this here, a resistance to support flip, maybe it's got that in play, maybe the 50 EMA. So we could be looking at a 7.5% pullback from Bitcoin all-time highs if that happens. Maybe closer to 7 or so, 6.5 to 7 in that area. But either way, that's Bitcoin for you. All right, there's the market review. Overall, interesting. I do think there's potential for some more upside. Maybe we get a little bit of selling in the beginning of the week to let the 8 EMA catch up. Maybe give a little bit back and pull somewhere into this area and for a little setup. I do like XLK probably the most out of everything, simply because it's already pulled back. So I'll be looking for pullback buys and setups within this sector, which is basically the top, top 10 names of the Qs, which I'll do a video on that shortly. Manage your risk, stay safe, do your homework. Thanks for your time. Like, subscribe, share. I'm part of a community. If you guys are interested in that, let me know and I can link you up with a guy. Thanks for your time. Later.